Let's look at the problem 7 from chapter 14, section 1. In this case, we're looking at a contour diagram for a monthly payment on a 5-year loan. And we're looking at how things are going to change if our interest rate is 1 and our loan total amount of the loan is $6,500. So looking at the contour diagram, we want to read where things are. At 1% and 6,500, it looks like the payment is going to be approximately 110 because we're halfway between the 100 and the 120 contour lines. So that's just getting a place to start. What we need to do is look at how things are changing in the R direction. So we need to go to another point holding the L constant. So we need to find some other point at which we can make an approximation. So we're going to figure out what the R is. We're going to keep the 6,500 the same. And then we'll approximate where the payment is. So we just need to go to another point that we can approximate. So from the 6,500 point, if I go over to the point, I'm going to have to make it bigger because eyesight and such. If I go over to the point, so at 6,500, the 120 crosses at, it looks like R is 4 along the 6,500 line. So if I go over to 4, we'll be at 120. So this is one way we can approximate. So the reason, what we're doing is we have to approximate where we are at 1,6,500. And then we have to go in the R direction to another point where we can make an approximation. So I chose to go to the right over to the point where that 120 crosses at 4 and 6,500. Maintain L constant and see how much R changes. So that means the change in R. So the change in R is going to be 3. And here's my change in, the change in P is going to be about 10. So my DPDR at 1,6,500 is approximately 10/3 or 3 1/3. Now, whether Wiley agrees with me or not is up to debate. But that would be the technique that we want to employ. So we take the change in P and divide by the change in R. So my estimation is 3.33, and this is a payment in dollars per percentage point. So the monthly payment increases by approximately $3.33 per percentage point. The next direction we would want to go is we would want to look at the point. So looking at the point 1,6,500 and approximately 110. We would want to look at how much things change in the vertical direction for L. So I'm going to choose to go up to the next place. We're going to stay on that vertical line where R is equal to 1. And the next, we hit the 120 contour at $7,000. So now I'm going to approximate it at approximately $7,000 is where we hit the 120 contour. I don't know why I keep switching colors, but That's what I do, I guess. So what we're doing in this case is keeping our rate constant and borrowing more money and seeing what happens to our monthly payment. In both cases, I went for the next place, I could actually read a contour. So that's why I went up to the 120, because the 120 is the next contour I could read. The 110 was an approximation. So in this case, we can see our delta L, the change in the loan amount was an increase of $500. And the delta P was an increase of $10. So if we want to approximate the change in monthly payments with respect to the loan amounts, at 1,6,500, my increase in L is about $500, and my change in payment, oh, I did this upside down. So the payment increases by $10 for a $500 increase in amount borrowed. So 10 500ths or 1/50th. Now the units on this would be dollars per dollar, but that would be dollars of monthly payment per dollar of loan amount. So it looks like we're increasing by approximately 2 cents per dollar borrowed. Our monthly payment increases by approximately 2 cents per dollar borrowed, which makes sense. We should borrow more money, because if we're getting a 1% rate, then we should definitely be borrowing this money. It just makes sense. I don't think anybody's getting this loan at 1%. Not anybody I know, anyway. The only people that are going to get 1% have so much money, they don't need the loan. They're just taking the loan. All right. Any questions? Comments? Snide remarks? Great. So looking at the solutions, it looks like these are actually the biggest question, especially when we're dealing with Wiley Plus questions, is where we're going to start our approximation. So we're partway between the 110 contour and the 120 contour at this point, 1,6,500. The only thing that makes sense is to start this at 110, even though it looks a little bit above the halfway point between 100 and 120. This is the best that we can do. Any questions? Comments? One other thing that we could have done is to go backwards and look for a point down here. And here it looks, the point below is going to be a little bit different, because it looks like we get the 100 contour line at a little bit less than 6,000. So based on the fact that this is the one that Wiley Plus thinks is the answer, they clearly went this direction. And if you went in the other direction, you would be off of this one. I don't know, maybe it'll be okay if you round to 2 decimal places. But down here, the point down here is a little bit further away. So I guess I should label this option 1. And then option 2. We can go for the 1, whatever that is. We can aim for the 100 contour, in which case our change in P would be -10. But our change in L would also be negative. So then we would have to estimate where that, where we're hitting the L axis. So it looks like a little bit less than 600. So that would be 55, halfway again, it'd be 57, maybe 58. So this one I like a little bit less, not just because it has a bigger value, but now I'm estimating this value as well as this value. So that seems unhealthy. So the other direction might be better. But if both of these are negative, so our rate of change is still positive. Our payment will increase if we borrow more money. And if we do 1 divided by 70, rounded to 2 decimal places, we're down to 1 cent. So that's going to throw off our answer. Any questions? However, if we estimated the 5,800 to be 5,900, then when we round it, we would get it back to our 2 cents. Any questions? Comments? Great, let's pause the video here and look for some more problems to do.